What it do, flight crew? FTC. Flight team stand up. We got the man Jimmy Harrowly. The NBA has a big bully problem. Let's check it out.
Throughout the history of the NBA,
I don't understand why he makes why the Warriors lose
Wilt,
the game.
Russell, Kareem, Moses, Shaq, Hakeem, Duncan, Dirk, KG, and for years the NBA was a league centered around the big man. In fact, 34 of the first 50 NBA MVPs were awarded to big men. But
That's
about
crazy.
15 years ago, things began to change. The NBA began to shift to a more guard-heavy league. Teams began to construct their rosters around shooters and perimeter players, and the once sacred big man began to slip further and further into irrelevance. For over a decade, not a single power forward or center was selected as the league MVP.
That's
Big
wild.
men were used almost exclusively as a distraction on pick and rolls. Things were looking bleak, and long gone were the days of menacing, game-changing 7-footers.
Where's Jermaine O'Neal at from 2000?
But all of that is about to change.
So how are they going to find an answer for this man right here? Oh my goodness. He attacks that area until he returns.
Drills it for the win! Find the shoot. Elevates Kings. Off the glass and in. Holy cow, what a play!
When he gets a running start, he is cleared for takeoff.
Seemingly out of nowhere, in a league full of three-pointers, positionless basketball, and the most skilled guard play we've ever seen, dominant big men have made a violent return to the NBA. The big man is back, and it might just be better than ever. Today's video is sponsored by Keeps. Keeps is a
Alright, right doing like usual.
In 1962, Wilt Chamberlain set the gold standard for NBA big men, and really NBA players in general. In a season-long, record-breaking barrage, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points and 26 rebounds a game.
Bro,
Numbers
50
that
points
still
per
don't
game
make any
is
sense.
crazy, dude.
His player efficiency rating that season was 32.1. For decades, this record-high PER would go unmatched. And other than a few historic seasons, no one even came close to matching this.
Damn.
Here's a chart of the highest single-season PERs from big men in NBA history.
Where's Jermaine O'Neal at
This
in
is
that
literally
list?
every great season from every great big man in NBA history. Here's Kareem's historic 1972 season, Bill Walton's MVP season, Charles Barkley's MVP season, Shaq's incredible 2000 season, the best season of Tim Duncan's career. They're all here. And here's Wilt's 1962 record-breaking season that earned him a PER of 32.1. Now, here's Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid's PERs from this season. Three of the most efficient and productive seasons of any NBA bigs in NBA history. All
I know
in
they're
the
not
same
comparing Jokic to
season.
Wilt Chamberlain,
We are
bro.
talking
Stop,
about a
man.
magnitude equal to that of Wilt Chamberlain's
Antetokounmpo's only
prime
close, and he's like
seasons
a
by
Walmart
three separate
version of
big
Wilt
men
Chamberlain, honestly.
in 1 year. Not only is this level
Because
of
Wilt was
dominance
able to
from
run
three
fast. He was
players
like able to play other
absolutely
sports and stuff.
unprecedented, it's statistically unbelievable. Countless greats over countless seasons, and these three young stars have topped all of them simultaneously. The 2022 MVP race has been quite possibly the most wide-open race of any in recent history. From DeMar DeRozan to Stephen Curry to Kevin Durant to Ja Morant, about a dozen players have gotten
said Ja was
considerable
gonna be
talks
MVP.
for the MVP award this season. But by the time it was all said and done, three players were clearly ahead of everyone else. Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. Now, is it a coincidence that all three of these players are towering big men? Maybe. But there's a distinct gap between them and everyone else for a very good reason. In fact, outside of Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid, here's the list of players to average at least 27 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game, and 4 assists for a season in modern NBA history.
27, 11, and 4 assists in modern NBA. What's modern?
That's it.
Nobody?
That's the whole list.
What?
Literally nobody. And
Curry?
yet somehow, Jokic,
Maybe better than that.
Giannis, and Embiid all had averages above this stat line this season.
What?
We are talking about production from big men that we've never seen in the
Antetokounmpo averaged 30 points per game this season? What?
modern NBA. But it gets even
Damn,
crazier.
that's a glow
because
up.
since 1976, there
Because
have
his
only
rookie year,
been
he didn't even
2
average over
players
5
that have
points per
averaged
game.
more than 30 points and 11 rebounds a game for a single season. Moses Malone in 1982 and Shaquille O'Neal in 2000. And both of them won the MVP in those seasons. It's a stat line that's so difficult to achieve that it's virtually a surefire way to be named the league's most valuable player. And yet, both Giannis and Embiid averaged more than 30 points and 11 rebounds a game this season,
Crazy
and
interesting.
neither of them are likely to win the MVP award.
Oh.
These guys are putting up prime Shaq numbers, and because of how stacked the league is at the moment, both of them will come up short of the MVP. And it's not like these guys are putting up great
That's
numbers
crazy,
on bad
in the early
teams.
2000s.
Both the
I don't know if
Bucks
this would
and
happen, though.
76ers won more than 50 games this season and earned top seeds in the East. Giannis continues to put up insane numbers as the most dominant two-way player in the league. Joel Embiid became the first center in 22 years to win a scoring title. With an offensive game so refined, you'd think Hakeem Olajuwon was his biological father. And Nikola Jokic pretty much broke advanced metrics this season on his way to becoming the first player in NBA history with 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a single season.
Curry doesn't
Now,
matter.
if y'all can recall, it wasn't long ago that the best big men in the entire league were second class to the best perimeter players in the league. Within the last decade, players like David Lee, Tyson Chandler, Andrew Bynum, DeAndre Jordan, and Al Jefferson were making All-NBA teams. I mean, don't get me wrong, those guys were all good players at their peak. But fast forward to today's NBA, and you have to be damn near an MVP caliber player just to make an All-NBA team as a big
Why
man.
is it
To
Curry
find
on the
dominance-
first All-NBA team, bro? This is crazy talk. So you're putting Booker and Doncic over Curry. The heck out of here, dog. This is already finalized and everything in 2? This is crazy, man. And they got Siakam in the All-NBA team, man. Y'all gotta put Scotty Barnes over him before you put him in the All-NBA team category, man. This is wild. Who else doesn't deserve to be here, man?
From big men like we saw
Embiid,
this season,
high key,
we have
too.
to turn the clocks all the way
I
back.
put Anthony
to
Davis
the
over
90s,
Embiid in that
back when the
category.
NBA was controlled by bruising 7-footers. David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley. Now how's that for a league that is stacked with all-time big talents?
Wow.
And these weren't just the best big men in the NBA 27 years ago. This was the MVP leaderboard for the 1995
Dang, and
NBA
Freddie Hardaway
season.
was in it?
And just look at their numbers. This is absurd. Nearly all of them are averaging a 25-point double-double. It isn't until the 7th spot on the MVP leaderboard that we'll find a non-big man. And the first guard that comes up is John Stockton, who came in 8th in MVP voting that season. Can you even imagine if the best guard in the entire NBA was regarded as the 8th most impactful player in the league? Well, that was the NBA nearly 3 decades ago. And although the quantity of dominant big men isn't quite as deep as it was in the 90s, the quality certainly is. Nikola Jokic has quickly become the best playmaking big man of all time. His basketball IQ, his vision, his ability to manipulate the defense on all 3 levels makes him the ultimate threat at all times. There's truly never been a player like the Joker, and his one-of-one skill set has single-handedly carried his team to the playoffs and has made him the league's most valuable player. Giannis has been so dominant for so long now that when he drops 40 and 15 while being the best defensive player on the court, it isn't some sort of headline. And if his freakish length and athleticism didn't make him impossible to guard, he's now added a mid-post game to his arsenal that makes any defender look absolutely helpless.
Wow.
We are talking about a player with the imposing physicality of a prime Shaquille O'Neal that can also bring the ball up the court and Euro-step his way to an easy bucket. This shouldn't even be a thing. But Giannis Antetokounmpo made it one. And Joel Embiid has mastered his offensive game to the point where he doesn't have a single weakness offensively. Shots that were once reserved for the league's best shooters are now well within the bag of a 7'2", 300-pound behemoth. Players this big usually have trouble just getting up and down the court. Meanwhile, Embiid has the defense doing gymnastics as he expertly crafts his way to 30 points a night. All 3 of these big men, each with their very own unique games, none similar to the others, and yet all of them identically as forcefully dominant. And to demonstrate just how historic this season was for these 3 players, I'll leave y'all with this. The 45 Club, a club exclusive to only the most productive players in NBA history. Combine a player's points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game for any given season, and if that total exceeds 45, they were playing in all-time historic territory.
Wow.
Now, throughout the history of the modern NBA, this has happened just 23 times.
Club.
It was first accomplished by Moses Malone
Russell
in
Westbrook is up
1982,
there?
followed
What?
by some of the greatest seasons by some of the greatest players
Is that
in
Serge
NBA
Ibaka?
history. Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Shaq, LeBron, Kobe.
When did Ibaka score
Westbrook
40
had a
points?
ridiculous total of 52.7 in 2017. And most recently, Nikola Jokic joined the 45 Club just last season. This list of players and their best seasons is peak NBA on full display. But if we remove all the players who aren't big men, we are left with just 4 players across 6 seasons who accomplished this feat. 5 of those 6 seasons earned these players MVP honors. This season, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid all joined the 45 Club. And yet, only one of them will go home as the league's most valuable player.
And I'll be Curry.
The big man is back, and it may just be better than ever. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always,
Hey, man. That was
until
just
next
amazing. Coming up with last strats next, man. On the road to 5.